because we don't know anything about water. So on the next slide, I'll just say we really started with launching the RBC Blue Water Project with employees, really by taking employees back to science class. They don't know about water. They're not in environmental sciences. They learned about water when they were in grade 7, and they forgot about it in grade 8 over the summer, right? You don't really think about where your water comes from or what your watershed means. So we really took our employees back to science class, I like to say, and we produced this document that you see on your screen called Water 101, and it was basically everything we could find out about water, the science of water, the hydrologic cycle, why water matters, what are pollutants of water. And we made this document available on our intranet site for our employees. And we pushed it through regular promotional ways, through meetings and through executive announcements. And we had a tile out on the homepage of our corporate intranet site, etc. But it really was old school kind of communications. You know, it was a PDF that they could download and take it home. And it was really wordy. I wish in those days we'd had something interactive for this that would have made it more interesting. I'm saying this to Stephen, his eyes are lighting up here in the room. But I guess I'm kind of embarrassed about it a little bit right now because it just seems kind of dull and boring and not very engaging for employees. But we really needed to take them back to science class, and this is what we could do because the Blue Water Project also came up in a big hurry. It was an idea and then an announcement within about 3 months. So on to the next slide then. Then we felt as though, well, we think that we're going to, nope, not yet. Not yet on that build, yeah. There, I've tipped my hat on it.
They're sweating over there.
Yeah, they love it. Our executives felt as though it's time for RBC to make one grand gesture. When we're announcing the Blue Water Project, we need to do something about water in our operations. And we thought, well, lots of municipalities right now, the City of London, Ontario, and London, England, and in BC, were starting to ban bottled water at the time because there were some really significant environmental issues with bottled water and political issues as well. And they thought, let us ban bottled water at RBC. And I thought, yikes, this sounds very much like Big Brother in Toronto, where it's pretty safe to drink the tap water, saying to all of our employees worldwide who may be in regions where it's not safe to drink bottled water, thou shalt or thou shalt not. This is a very personal decision we were asking employees to make, and it felt to me, as a communicator, like this was almost a dangerous territory for us to get into. So I phoned up Stephen in PollStream and I said, you know, I think I want to engage employees in this discussion. What can you do to help? So if you can build it for me, David, here, we launched something called the RBC Blue Water Cooler. And oh my God, the puns with water are endless, and we use all of them at RBC. So we asked our employees to tell us, are you thirsty to tell us what you think about water? We want to create some conversations about water. So we opened something for about 3 weeks called the RBC Blue Water Cooler. And we gave employees information about bottled water, the reasons people buy it, the reasons people drink it, the way companies market it, the kind of environmental implications. And on the flip side, how drinking water is not safe to drink in all the regions around the world, and how polluted water is in China and India and some of the markets that we're actually doing business in the far north of Ontario, on Aboriginal reserves where 100 reserves in Canada have been on boil water advisories for 5 years or more. 5 years or more, yeah, it's really Canada's shame in many ways. But not every region has access to clean drinking water, so we wanted to give both sides of the argument, and then we asked employees, please, employees, weigh in. What do you think about this? Talk to each other about it. And we created a conversation area using which function on PollStream would it have been?
Comment engine.
The comment engine, absolutely. There's so many great products, I can't keep them all straight in my head. So we used the comment engine, and we had employees from all over the world talking to each other. I liked this very much as well because our employees in Toronto don't think that we've got employees elsewhere in the world. And it reminded them that we've got employees all across the United States, the Caribbean, the UK, a few in China and India, and in all sorts of other countries. It reminded us that we're one global operation as well, which was a kind of a residual benefit to this conversation. So then we asked at the end of it, we had employees talk about the issue, read about the issue, chat with each other, debate with each other, and then we asked them to vote on it. And that's the next bill, David. We said to them, after you've had a chance to read about what everybody thinks, what stand do you think RBC should take on bottled water? We're going to develop a policy. Help us develop the policy. And you can see what the figures are there. And the comments that we got from our employees were really the full range to rabid environmentalists. Not only should we ban our commercial bottled water from our premises, but we should be recycling better than we do. We should be turning off all of our lights. And why do we leave our computer screens on? Really, what was it? 13% of our employees said, yeah, you better do that. Otherwise, I'm not going to feel good about the company unless you ban bottled water. Down at the bottom, we had employees, 31% that said, you know what, that is a personal decision. RBC can't tell me what to drink or what not to drink, and they're right. We should not take any action on this issue. And in fact, a couple of them said, if you do take an action in this issue, I'm going to quit the company. Well, I'm sure that they wouldn't do that. We're a pretty good employer. But half of our employees worldwide said, you know what, we should have a tap water preferred policy for all of our operations globally, and each branch can decide what to do, but we do prefer tap water where it's safe to drink. And in fact, about a year later, we actually announced that as our guideline, and it's going to be moved into a policy. And we had 2,300 people vote on that. We felt that was a really good proxy for an important issue, and it helped us drive our policy and our guideline on something that we could have made a really bad misstep on. So that was a kind of an interesting thing.
That's fantastic, Lynn. I've heard Stephen agreeing here and there. I just make a program note that our president and founder, Stephen Green, is in the room with Lynn. Stephen, say hello.
Hi, I will only interject and ask questions when needed, but Lynn has a great narrative that I don't want to interrupt.
Okay,
great.
Okay,
so this is a cool thing, and it also allowed me to prove the value of PollStream, I think, because we were just beginners with PollStream in the company at this point. And I loved being able to say, 2,300 employees weighed in on this. We've never had that kind of a feedback that I can recall on a policy or a guideline decision like this before in terms of an operational issue. So it was really, really cool. And I dragged this deck out to meeting after meeting for weeks after this. So it was really, really interesting, I think, for me.